Hi, welcome to Curries for Every Kitchen, and I'm Shobha. Today I'm going to show you how to make a meatball sauce, and also it's called kofta. Today I'm going to use that meatballs in several different ways. You can use it like a sub with a little hoagie roll or bread, and you can put it on rice like normal Indians do, or you can use it in spaghetti. It's a little bit spicy, spicier than Italian meatballs. So let's start. I got my grinder right here. I'm going to put some onions. It's like 1 onion chopped. And I have grated garlic and ginger, just little small pieces to give you a little spice, and then cilantro. Let's grind it. It doesn't have to be a fine paste, just a little grind. To that, I'm going to add some salt. And I took half a pound of ground turkey and half a pound of ground beef. You can substitute this with any meat. You can use ground lamb, keema, or ground chicken, or anything you would like. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this and then mix it with all those spices. A little more added salt, and I'm going to make it all grounded and into little balls. Okay. Both our meat mixtures and onion and ginger and garlic and cilantro is all mixed up. Before we make it into a round meatballs, we're going to add some spices to it. I got my spice dabba, and I have coriander powder, ground coriander, around half a teaspoon of it, and a ground cumin, another half a teaspoon of it, and I'm going to put some cayenne. Cayenne is like, if you don't want the heat, you can just omit the cayenne. To that, I'm also going to add a different spice. I don't know, most Indian dishes don't use it, but I seem to like it. This is a Turkish spice called sumac that gives you a little tangy flavor and a little bit of color to our koftas. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit, like maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of that also. And this sumac you can find it in Indian grocery store or Middle Eastern grocery store, or some Chinese stores are also carrying that. And this is instant potatoes. If you don't have instant potatoes, by all means you can use chickpea flour if you have chickpea flour in it. But instant potato seems to give you a little more taste to it. So I'm going to add a little bit, just enough to make those meatballs into, just enough to bind the meatballs. Instead of egg, I'm using instant potatoes. So that way you don't have to get too many calories unnecessarily. Now, when I mix this, I'm going to make it into I'm going to roll it into small balls. And then I have a half a cup of water boiling away. And what I'm going to do is, you don't need to, instant potatoes, you don't need to mix it very well. It just kind of bind it. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take them and make into little balls, and I'm going to put these into the water. The reason I'm doing it, so this way you have your meatball cooked from inside out, and then when all the water is evaporated, you have a little browning of the meatballs. When all the water is evaporated, add 1 teaspoon of oil so it helps you browning. Okay, our meatballs are cooked and all browning nicely. What I did was after all the water is evaporated, I added 1 teaspoon of oil so it will brown, gently kind of stirring every which way so all sides would be burned. Don't let it, I put it in a slow flame so it'll be cooking slowly, and you know, giving all the oils and all the spices are getting infused in it. So I don't want them to be burned, I just want them to be browned. Meanwhile, I'm making a sauce to go with it. I got a half a cup of onions, finely chopped, browning, and 2 tablespoons of oil. To that, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of ginger and garlic paste. When it is browning, I'm going to take some dried herbs this time. I got some dried curry leaves and some dried fenugreek leaves and dried mint leaves. It's a dried mint, dried fenugreek and dried curry leaves. While it's browning, I just opened a can of tomatoes. It's just diced tomatoes, and I'm gonna grind them into a smooth paste. When you grind them, it'll give you a lot more. It'll be a lot more juicier. That's good. Now I have a tomato paste. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add, say, around 2 teaspoons of tomato paste. This is very concentrated. You don't need a whole lot. It's just little squirts of it. It gives you nice tanginess, nice thickness to your sauce without adding anything else, vinegar or anything. And just fry it up a little bit and lower your flame to medium and add your tomato puree. You can also use this with fresh tomatoes. All you have to do is chop tomatoes and grind them on a blender and make it into a nice puree. And now we add the spices to it. A 1/4 teaspoon of cumin, a 1/4 teaspoon of coriander, and a little bit of a curry powder, a mixture of turmeric and then cayenne and all these spices mixture. I already mixed it and put it in together. I put it a little bit. I don't want overwhelming spices to it. And a pinch of garam masala. I'm just using a pinch. I don't want it to be too spicy. Okay. Now when the spices are all spiced, add a small cup, 1/4 cup of water and then bring it to simmer. It's going to take like 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, our sauces are cooked and our meatballs are all brown. I'll show you a few ways to serve it. You can just sprinkle a little salt right on top of it. Don't put too much, just to taste, because you already have salt in your meatballs. If you want a little more salt, you can always add it later. First way to serve it is just take a little bit of sauce into your bowl and then put a few meatballs, and that can be a nice appetizer, a starter for a party. Or you can do meatball cups. I just put my oven into 350 degrees. I'm warming my oven. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a few meatballs into a hoagie roll, and I'm going to cover this with the sauce. And sprinkle a little cilantro on top of that. This is nice smoky provolone cheese. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 slices of provolone cheese. Just break it into little pieces. And I'm going to put it in the oven for a little while, maybe 5-6 minutes, until the cheese is all melts and comes out on the bread and it becomes ooey gooey. Okay, are you hungry? Are you ready to eat? There's our koftas and kofta sandwiches. They're all cheese is melted and it's ooey gooey, and then you have all these meatball appetizers, and on top of the sub, maybe if you want to just add a little bit of sauce. There you go, enjoy.